Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Structural Organization in Animals Theory Part 4. And today we are going to cover up the NCERT section 7.2 and 7.2.2. Disclaimer. In today's session, learning objective. Let us have a look at this to understand the features of the nervous system in frog and its structure and function. So we will study about what type of nervous system the frog possesses regarding its structure and its function. Another learning objective to understand the feature of reproductive system in frog, its structure and function. So the very, very important part of this chapter, that is the reproduction of frog. Okay, reproductive system of frog. So that we are going to study regarding its structure as well as the function of the different parts, right? Index. So we will cover up the frog 7.2 and the anatomy part 7.2.2. We will summarize today's lecture after the studying nervous system as well as the reproductive system. Then there will be some NCERT based questions for you. There will be some keynotes and some interesting questions as well. So let us start today's session with the frog's nervous system. And this comes under the control and coordination, right? The nervous system is a part of the control and coordination system, not only in the frog, but in human body as well, right? The frog has an evolved control and coordination system comprising neural system and endocrine glands. So these two things are there for control and coordination. What are those two things? Neural system and endocrine gland, right? Neural system is composed of the brain, okay? The vertebral column will be there. Inside the vertebral column, there will be the part of the central nervous system, that is the nerve cord, right? And there will be some endocrine gland. Endocrine gland releases hormones directly into the blood. So that also is the part of control and coordination, right? So two things are there: control and coordination, neural system and endocrine gland. Major endocrine glands. So let us see what are the different endocrine glands in the frog. Major endocrine glands are pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, that is present in the brain part. Thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is present in the neck region. Parathyroid is also at the same region. Thymus gland, pineal body, pancreatic islets, adrenal gland and gonads. So if you see these endocrine glands in the frog, they all are present in the human as well. Okay, they are present in the human endocrine system also, right? And this is one of the reason that the major features of the frog, okay, matches with the human anatomy, right? So that is why we are studying the frog in this particular chapter, okay? So regarding the endocrine gland, these are the different endocrine glands that are found in the frog, right? Okay. Nervous system. Now, what is the nervous system consist of? It includes the central nervous system. Central nervous system, right? Central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord. And peripheral nervous system will be there, and also the autonomic nervous system. Peripheral nervous system means the nerves that originate from the brain part, spinal cord, that leads to the different parts of the body, right? And they are helping in the control and coordination of that particular organ. The peripheral nervous systems are also very, very important. And the another part, that is the autonomic nervous system. So here we can see the structure of the frog brain. Frog brain, right? It has been divided into three different parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. right? So brain has 10 pairs of cranial nerves. 10 pairs of cranial nerves means 10 nerves that originate from the brain of frog. Cranial nerve means that is the brain part, right? So the nerves that originate from the brain are called as cranial nerves. And how many numbers? 10 pairs. 10 pairs they are. So they are concerned for the protect, and they are protected by the cranium. Cranium is a bone that covers this particular part, right? Brain divides into four: brain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Three parts are there. In human brain also, the brain has been divided into three parts. So similarly, in the case of frog, we are having three divisions. Forebrain means the frontal part of the brain, midbrain, that is the middle part of the brain, and hind, that is the back part, okay, of the brain. So here, let us see the structure. Forebrain. What are the structure that are present in the forebrain? Cerebral hemisphere is there, olfactory lobe is there, and olfactory nerves are there. So the part of the brain that is related to olfaction, olfactory nerves, olfactory lobe, that is related to the smell region, right? And here you can see the cerebral hemisphere also. That is a major part of the forebrain. Coming to the midbrain, what are those? Optic lobe. You can see this optic lobe is present in the midbrain, means it is related to your eyes. Eyes means frog is able to see because of this optic lobe. Okay. There is in between this fore and midbrain, you can see there is a pineal stalk, the position of the pineal gland, and also the diencephalon, right? Now, coming to the hindbrain, what are there? There is cerebellum and medulla oblongata. Cerebellum and medulla oblongata. So this is showing the dorsal view. Now, if you see the ventral view, you can see the olfactory lobe here. The olfactory lobe is here, and olfactory nerves originate from this lobe part. Coming to this downward of the forebrain, the major part is the cerebral hemisphere, and you can see that it is divided into two regions, right? There is an intersuture in between the cerebral hemisphere. So two lobes are there. You can see there is an optic chiasma. You can see the cross-like structure. So this cross-like structure is called as chiasma, right? Optic chiasma related to the optic brain, right? Optic part of the brain that is related to the vision, So next part is, you can see the infundibulum is also there. Infundibulum in the mid region, right? So diencephalon, midbrain. Diencephalon is a region of the vertebrate brain that is located between the midbrain. It is the part of the midbrain, right? And cerebellum, midbrain and the cerebellum. It is present in between and forming the walls of the third ventricle, right? So diencephalon is the part of the midbrain only. Okay. Next is the, if you see the hindbrain part, you can see different cranial nerves. Different cranial nerves are originating from the from the medulla oblongata, and the cranial nerves, that is from the cerebellum, right? Many cranial nerves arise from them. And infundibulum, okay. Infundibulum is a funnel-shaped structure that connects the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland. Okay. And they are part of the midbrain. They are part of the midbrain. Yes. So they are the connection between the hypothalamus. You know, the hypothalamus is very, very important. From the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland is hanging, right? And this pituitary gland is the master gland that control all the glands present in our body. Pituitary gland. So this infundibulum is the connection between the hypothalamus and the pituitary, right? So this is the brain of the frog. You can see it is not exactly same as we are having, but the parts of the brain are the same. The structure is not very similar, but yes, the parts are same. You can see the human brain is also divided into forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Yes, and the parts in between the forebrain, midbrain are the same. But you see the structure, it is quite different from the human brain, right? Forebrain contain the olfactory lobes and cerebral hemisphere. This is the part of the forebrain that they contain. Two parts are there, olfactory lobe part and cerebral hemisphere. The midbrain features the optic lobes. Optic lobes are related to the vision. So it can be asked in the examination that midbrain of the frog is concerned for olfaction or vision or hearing, right? Or movement. So it is related to the vision, right? Because it is having the optic lobes. Hindbrain include the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. Now sense organs, because the sense organs are also the part of the nervous system. So for touch they are having the sensory papilla on the skin. There are some sensory papilla of the skin that can sense the touch. They have taste buds for taste. Smell, nasal epithelium. In the nostrils, they are having the nasal epithelium that can sense the smell of the different objects. Vision, for vision, they are having the eyes, and their eyes are protruding. It is bulging eye, and they are having the nictitating membrane for their protection. Because the frog lives in water also, right? So for the protection, they are having the nictitating membrane. But in the case of human, this nictitating membrane is the vestigial organ. We are not having an active nictitating membrane, right? At the corner of the front corner of the eye, we are having very minute remnants of this nictitating membrane. It is not active. It is present as a vestigial organ in the human. So you can see upper eyelid, eye, okay. You can see the tympanic fold here and tympanum. Okay, this is the tympanum. That tympanum is the ear. It is related to the ear. They are not having external ear like we are having the pinna or external ear that can capture the sound waves from the different direction, but they are not having any external ear. Okay. Now in the snout region, they are having the nostrils. In the snout, they are having the nostrils. You can see the upper lip, lower lip region, throat and mouth. So three different organs of the sense organ you can see in this particular figure: eye, tympanum, okay, and this nostril. So in the nostrils, they are having the nasal epithelium that can sense the smell. Hearing, for hearing, they are having the tympanum. And eyes are a spherical structure in the skull orbit. In the skull, there is a depression that is called as skull orbit, and this eye, which is a spherical structure, is placed in this skull orbit. Okay, it is properly placed in that orbit region. Frogs lack external ear but have tympanum for hearing and the balance, right? They are not having any external ear or the pinna-like region, but yes, they are having the tympanic membrane as a tympanum, and that is related to the hearing and balancing of the body. Now, we will talk about the reproductive system in the frog. Dioecious. Male and female systems are well organized. Okay, they are separate. They are not hermaphrodite. Any organism, hermaphrodite, you know? Earthworm. Earthworm is a hermaphrodite. They are having both the reproductive organ in one individual. Male and female reproductive organ are present in the earthworm only, right? But here, in the case of frog, male and female individuals are different. Male and female individuals are different. And you can identify them also by seeing the some of the structure. Male reproductive system. We will talk about, first of all, the male reproductive system. They are having the testes. Testes as one of the main reproductive organ. So male frog possesses a pair of oval-shaped yellowish testes. Okay, yellow color testes is attached to the surface of kidney. So kidney is very, very important here, because at the kidney region, three different things are attached. First thing, you know that the testes is attached to the kidney. Second, adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is also attached to, and that is one of the endocrine gland in the frog. The third thing that is attached to the kidney is the fat body. We will see in the figure that these things are there. Testes are attached to the kidney by the membrane that is called as mesorchium. This membrane is very, very important. Through this membrane only, this testes is attached to the kidney. And if by anyhow this membrane is detached or torn out, the kidney will be move here and there. So to place the kidney at one particular place, this mesorchium is very important membrane. Produce sperm cells. What is the function of the testes? Testes are concerned for the formation of male gamete, and that male gamete is the sperm. This is called as sperm here. So they produce sperm cells. Secrete male hormone testosterone. Testosterone is very, very important, right? And that is required for the production of the and maturation of the sperm cells as well, right? So this testosterone is produced by this testes only. You can see here the structure of the male reproductive system. So here you can see the yellowish testes is attached to this, right? And for attachment, there is a membrane that is called as mesorchium is there, right? And you can see the adrenal gland, this violet color adrenal gland is attached to the kidney. And one more thing, fat bodies are also attached to this kidney. So this is very, very important feature. We see in the case of frog. If you compare it with the human, where is the position of the testes? The testes are present hanging outside the body in the scrotum. Okay, it is present in the scrotum. But in the case of frog, It is attached to the kidney. Very different position from the human, right? The human is not having any type of fat bodies attached to the kidney, but here you can see they are having well developed fat bodies attached to the kidney, right? And one more thing, very important. This adrenal gland is present in the human also. They are present in the human also, right? But here you can see the position of the adrenal gland is very different. Adrenal gland is present at the top of the kidney in the case of human, but here see the position. It is present at the whole surface of the kidney, right? So two things are very, very important here. The position for the testes on the kidney. Second, mesorchium. This membrane is helpful for the attachment of the testes to the kidney. And second thing, production of the male hormone testosterone, right? Now, the question may arise here, what is the function of these fat bodies? Fat bodies, yes, fat bodies are there to prepare for adverse situation, adverse condition. That is the summer and winter season. That season are not suitable for the frogs. They're not suitable for the frogs. So these fats are there for their survival. They can use this fat for energy purpose, right? Okay. Now, vas efferentia. What is vas efferentia? Vas efferentia is a network of tubes connecting testes to the kidney. Very, very important. Here, the vas efferentia is present outside the kidney, outside the testes. Network of tubes connecting testes to the kidney. You can see thread-like structure or the tube-like structure that is present on the kidney as well as testes. And this is the connection in between these two organs, right? So these are small ducts, 10 to 12 in number. Duct means tubes. These are small tubes, 10 to 12 in number, that carry sperm from the testes to the bidder canal. Now, this organ is very, very important from the examination point of view. The question can be asked on this bidder's canal. What is this bidder's canal? Okay. So these are the small ducts, 10 to 12 in number, that carry sperm. So sperms are produced inside the testes, but it is eliminated out from the testes, comes to this duct, and they are taken to the bidder's canal. Bidder's canal, right? So here you can see these are the vas efferentia. Vas efferentia, connection between the testes and the kidney. Vas efferentia is the connection between the testes to kidney, right? These are small ducts, 10 to 12 in number, that carry sperm from the testes to the bidder's canal. The vas efferentia arise from the testes, specifically from the seminiferous tubules where the sperms are produced. Okay, so inside the testes there are many seminiferous tubules. Okay, very highly coiled tubules. Okay, they are present inside the testes, and inside these tubules like structure, the sperms are produced. Sperms as a male gametes are produced, right? They are many in number. They are many in number. So vas efferentia arise from the testes part, specifically from the seminiferous tubules where the sperms are produced. Vas efferentia play a crucial role in the sperm transport. They are playing a very important role in the sperm transport. So vas efferentia is present as a connection between the testes and the kidney. So once they are produced in the seminiferous tubule, it is brought to the vas efferentia, and from the vas efferentia, it passes to the Bidder's canal, right? So this vas efferentia is very important for transportation of the sperm. Transportation of the sperm. So they carry sperm from the testes into the kidney and then into the Bidder's canal. So inside this kidney, this sperm is passing through this Bidder's canal. Okay, they are passing through this kidney. So such type of things we do not see in the case of human. This is a very important things that we see in the case of frog only. Okay, these features are not found in like human. They are found in the frog and some of the amphibians. So here you can see the Bidder's canals is present inside the kidney. The sperms that are produced from the testes inside the seminiferous tubules comes to the vas efferentia and then they enters in the kidney through the Bidder's canal. Bidder's organ. Now we will see what happened in this particular organ. Rudimentary ovary-like structure. What is the feature of this structure? See, they are rudimentary ovary. Rudimentary ovary means ovary-like structure, but it is not functional in the case of male. So that structure is called as rudimentary structure. Found in some male frog. It is present in the male frog. And this is a canal within the kidney that receives sperm from the vas efferentia and leads to the ureter. Why it is passing? You can think about why the sperm needs to pass through the kidney. Why it is passing through the kidney? Because there is just one opening, that is ureter. Ureter is there to pass the produced urine from the kidney and it is passes through the ureter and leads to the cloaca, and from cloaca it reaches to the urinary bladder, and time to time the urine is eliminated out from the cloacal aperture. Now let us think about the sperm. The sperms are produced in the testes in the seminiferous tubules and it is taken out from their testes, and you see what is present at the surface of the kidney that joins kidney to the testes, that is vasa efferentia. Now the sperm from the seminiferous tubules comes to the vasa efferentia. Vasa efferentia get enter inside the kidney and lead to the Bidder's canal. Why it is entering to the kidney? Because it has to pass through the ureter. Only one way for the ureter. Ureter is there, only one way for passing of urine as well as sperm, right? So that is why the sperm that is produced in the testes has to pass inside the kidney so that they can get their way to the ureter, and from the cloacal aperture they can passes through there and comes out in the outer end, right? So here a canal. What is written about the Bidder's canal? A canal within the kidney that receives sperm from the vasa efferentia and leads to the ureter. So this is the canal that is present inside the kidney, right? And this is the rudimentary ovary-like structure, right? So if it is asked about the Bidder's canal, you can say that it is the joining part of the vasa efferentia to the ureter, and this canal-like thing is present inside the kidney, right? Function not fully understood. Though its function is not fully understood, but as there is only one opening, that is through the ureter, that this sperm could lead to the cloacal aperture region. So here you can see, that is why you can see this, it is not written ureter, it is written urinogenital duct. So once the urine is there, it comes from this particular part and it is stored in the urinary bladder. But when the sperm has to release in the testes, the sperm formed here in the testes passes through the vasa efferentia, comes to the Bidder's canal, passes from the Bidder's canals and goes to this urinogenital duct. And from the urinogenital duct, it passes to the cloaca. And from the cloaca, there is, you can see there is an aperture that is called as cloacal aperture. So sperms comes out through this cloacal, right? Now, cloaca. So cloaca is a common chamber for the reproductive and excretory product. So you can see for three things to eliminate out from the male reproductive body or the male frog, there is one chamber. The fecal matter, undigested waste matter from the body is eliminated from this cloaca, right? Sperms are also eliminated out from this cloaca. And nitrogenous waste material that is produced, nitrogenous waste material that is produced all over the body, and it is transported via blood to the kidney where the filtration and reabsorption takes place. And finally, the urine is eliminated out from the kidney to the ureter, and it is stored in the urinary bladder through cloaca. And time to time, through the cloaca, this urinary bladder, the urine is passes from urinary bladder to the cloaca, and from cloacal aperture, it is eliminated out. So you can see this, the common chamber. This cloaca is a common chamber for the reproductive as well as excretory product, right? This is used for the sperm release during the mating process. At the time of mating, the male frog holds the female frog. And for this, they are having the copulatory organ. Copulatory organ, that is, and for in the hand, they are having the copulatory pad. The first finger of the male frog, they are having a pad-like structure on their finger that helps to hold the female frog, right? And that is why it is called as copulatory pads. So, the male hold this female frog tightly, and at that time, the female releases egg in the water. And at the same time, the male releases this sperm through the cloacal aperture over the eggs. And these eggs are many in number in a jelly-like substance. They are embedded in this jelly-like substance so that they can not move here and there. For the protection purpose also, they are present in a jelly-like substance. So that is why it is written here. It is used for sperm release during the mating. In the mating time, they releases sperm. So this cloaca is very, very important. Here you can see this region is called as cloaca, and this aperture, the opening is called as cloacal aperture. Now, female reproductive and female reproductive organ is ovaries. Paired organ producing egg. Okay. Ovaries are the paired organ that is present on the female as a female reproductive organ, and what they produces the female gamete that is called as egg. The ovaries are attached to the kidney by a fold of peritoneum that is called as mesovarium. Now here again, for the attachment of the testes to the kidney, there is mesorchium. Now here, for the attachment of ovaries to the kidney, there is again a peritoneum folding or a membrane that is called as mesovarium. Very, very important. Mesovarium. Secrete female hormone, estrogen, like the testes secretes the male reproductive hormone that is called as testosterone. In the same way, here female ovaries produces the female reproductive hormone that is called as estrogen, right? Located near the kidney. So here you can see this is the ovary. And you can see the number, this black spot here, the number of ova are present inside this ovary. The position you see, it is different, quite different from the testes. They are not attached to the kidney at the same region where you see the ovary, right? And the name of the membrane, the attachment membrane for the ovary is again different from the one that we have seen in the case of male reproductive system, right? The hormone that is produced in the female, that is estrogen, and there we have started the hormone that is produced by the male reproductive as a male hormone, that was testosterone. So these are the differences we see here. Now oviduct, coil tubes carrying the egg from the ovaries. So they are the tube-like structure that receives egg when the eggs are released from the ovary. The oviduct have a funnel-like opening that is called as ostia. Okay, if you see the structure of the oviduct, it looks like a funnel. Funnel. Why they are having the funnel shape? Because this funnel shape helps them to capture all the eggs that are released from the ovary, right? So this shape is helping to capturing the released ova from the ovary. So that is why they are having the funnel-like opening, and which capture egg released into the body cavity. Here you can see the eggs are released in the body cavity. They are not released in any tube-like structure. The sperms are not released in the tube, in the body cavity. They are released in the tube-like structure, right? But here, see about the egg. The egg are released into the body cavity that are captured by the oviducal funnel or oviducts. So they secrete protective jelly around the egg. The egg are not dry. They are having a jelly-like substance around the egg. And that transport eggs to the cloaca, right? So they transport these eggs to the cloacal region. So here you can see the structure. This is the oviduct. This is the oviduct, a funnel-shaped oviduct. When the eggs are released here in the body cavity, all these eggs are captured by this oviduct. And you can see how coiled this tube is. Right? So they capture all the eggs produced in the body cavity through the oviduct and passes it to the finally where? In the cloaca, right? Common chamber for eggs and the waste product. Here also, in the case of female also, this cloaca is a common chamber. So excretory substances are also eliminated out from this cloacal chamber, and the reproductive gametes, whether it is in the case of male or female, right? The eggs in the case of female is released from the cloaca, and sperm from the male is released from the cloaca. Same organ. They used egg laying. So they lay eggs, and they lay eggs at a very a place where there is a water, but it should not be very running water. Otherwise, the egg will be eroded by the running water, right? Sexual dimorphism. Males have a sound producing vocal sacs and the copulatory pad on the first digit of the forelimb. So this is showing the sexual dimorphism. What does this term mean, sexual dimorphism? That you can, just by seeing the external morphology of the frog, you can determine that this is the male one and this is the female frog, right? So you have to just see if the frog is producing sound from the vocal sac. The male is having the vocal sac. The male can produce the sound. And why they are producing sound? They are producing sound to attract the female, right? They attract the female and female comes to them, and then they can go for the process of reproduction, right? So the vocal sac is present in the male. Coming to the next part, that is the copulatory pad. This copulatory pad is also present in the male first digit of the forelimb. In the forelimbs, how many fingers they are having? 4 fingers. The first finger is having this copulatory pad. This copulatory pad is helping the male frog to hold the female at the time of reproduction. Fertilization. Where the fertilization process is taking place? The fertilization process is taking place in the water, because female lays egg in the jelly-like substance in the water. Okay, the egg are there in the water. And at the same time, because the male and female are at that time, they are holding together, right? So the male also releases the sperm at that time only over these eggs, right? So where the fertilization is actually taking place? External fertilization, here we see, and that takes place in water. Female releases eggs in water and male simultaneously releases sperms on the egg. Fertilization occur outside the body. Where the fertilization is taking place? The fertilization is taking place outside the body. It is not taking place inside the body. So that is why it is called as external fertilization. Eggs are laid in a cluster that is called as spawn. So the jelly-like substance in which the eggs are laid, that is called as spawn. Here you can see the life cycle of a frog. The adult frog is there. The female will lay the egg. You can see the egg are in the group, and these eggs are in group because they are present in a jelly-like substances that is called as spawn. Now, the sperms are laid over this egg only, and all the eggs get fertilized there. And one more thing, the female lay a large number of eggs. The reason is laying of this large number of eggs because the reproduction is taking place in the external environment, not inside the body, external environment. And there are many chances that predators can come and eat all the eggs or developed embryo or at the tadpole stage. So that is why to have some of the baby, they lay a large number of eggs, right? And there are some external factor also, right? So that is why it means that there may be a chances that some of the eggs may get damaged, some of the eggs may be eaten by the predators, some of the eggs get damaged because of the external factor, right? There are many chances. So that is why they lay egg in large number. Okay. So once they get fertilized, embryo is formed inside the egg, and what is released out? Larva. The larva is tadpole. And this larva is suitable to live in water only. So they are having gills for the respiration process. Their skin is very minute. Through skin also they can do the process of respiration. And they are having the tail. They look like a very small fish. They look like a very small fish. They are having the tail region because they have to move in the water, right? But slowly and slowly you can see that they are developing legs. They are developing limbs like structure. 4 limbs and hind limbs. You can see here the tadpole. It is having 4 limbs also and hind limbs also. Along with the tail, they are having the tail also. But at the adult stage, what you see? Slowly and gradually, the tail disappear. The tail get disappear. And the gills also disappear. And instead of gills, the lungs get developed inside the frog. So this is the life cycle of frog. And this change from egg to embryo stage, then to the tadpole, different stages of tadpole. This conversion is called as metamorphosis. This conversion is called as metamorphosis. Now we will talk about the development, indirect development. And you all know that when we use this term, indirect type of development, indirect type of development means there is the formation of larval stage. There is a formation of larval stage. And larva doesn't look like the adult. Then you can say this is the indirect type of development. The young one doesn't look like the adult. Yes, the tadpole never look like the adult frog. Yes, right. So that is why we say that this is an indirect type of development. And for the direct, the young ones exactly look like the adult. As we see in the case of human, the human child exactly look like the, it is having the limbs, it is having head, it is not having any tail as the adult, right? So we say that this is a direct type of development in the case of human. But here in the case of frog, indirect development involving the formation of larval stage, that is called as tadpole. Tadpoles are characterized by a tail for swimming and gills for respiration. See, where the tadpoles live, they live in water. So, to survive in water, they need to swim. They need to swim. So, the tail is the helping organ for the swimming purpose, right? And for the respiration, they should have gills because the fishes are having the gills, right? And the different arthropodans also that live in water, they are also having the gill or the book lungs like things. So here they require gills. So you see the larval is very, very different from the tadpole is very, very different from the adult frog. They are primarily aquatic and herbivorous. So that's this tadpole. The tadpole is herbivorous and they are aquatic. But slowly and slowly, as they transformed into the adult frog, the frog becomes carnivore. It eats insects. So tadpole grow hind legs and tail also shrink and disappear. So slowly and slowly, first the hind legs comes out, okay, and then the four leg, and the tail also shrink and disappear. Gills also disappear and lungs develop to respire on the land. So now they are adapted to live on the land. Tadpole undergoes metamorphosis to form the adult. So this changing from the larval to adulthood, that is called as metamorphosis. So this is showing the metamorphosis. So here are some of the development stage we can see. The egg stage. What is the key characteristic here? The eggs are present in the jelly coated eggs. Development begins immediately. Okay, it doesn't take a long time to get developed. The eggs are already developed. So it takes 2 to 25 days to hatch, right? Once they get fertilized, it just takes 2 to 25 days to hatch. Tadpole stage. Aquatic larvae emerge from the egg and have gills and tail. They are having gills and tail, feed on algae and plants. So they are herbivorous. They are herbivorous. Now, metamorphosis, gradual development of legs. So this is the new thing that is emerging from the tadpole. That is the hind legs. And loss of tail. So there is a disappearance of the tail slowly and slowly. Development of lungs. So gills get disappear and lungs started developing in this tadpole. Changing in diet and behavior. Now its behavior also changes and its diet also changes. Earlier it is dependent upon the algae and the plant, but now they are started eating the insects. Adult frog. Completely transformed. If you see the frog, adult frog, it is completely transformed. Can live on land. They are more adapted to live on land. Breathe through the lungs and skin, right? When the frog is present inside the water, or when it is going for the hibernation or estivation, at that time they respire through the skin, because at that time their metabolic activities are very, very low, right? But when they are on the land, they breathe through the lungs. Parental care in frog. We see a lot of parental care in frog. Some frog construct nest. Okay, they construct nest with the help of mud, foam, or on tree nest. Sometimes they make tree nest or any shelter to house their eggs. But this house should be, or this nest should be having some water, shallow water or splashes of water, so that the eggs could not die. And ultimately, once the larva comes out, all the larva could move to the that water. That is, that water should be in this surrounding shelter or any nest like thing that they had made. Some species show direct nursing behavior, like carrying tadpoles, protecting egg on their bodies, or carrying egg clusters. So we see this thing also in the case of amphibians, that they carry tadpoles. Sometimes they carry tadpoles in their mouth even. They keep the tadpoles in their mouth and they move from one place to another, right? And sometimes you see that the tadpoles are stick to their back, or eggs, the fertilized eggs they are carrying on their back, right? So this is all show what? This is comes under the parental care. So here you can see so many tadpoles are attached to this female frog. Parental care in frog. That is showing the parental care in frog. Economic importance of frog. That shows the ecological balance. Frogs are very, very important for our environment. How? Frogs eat insects and thus protect crop. When the frog eat insects, because insects are very, very harmful for our crops, right? But in the environment, if the frogs are there, then these frog could minimize the number of insects, and ultimately it can protect our crops. They serve as an important link in the food chain and food web. And in this sense, they are very, very important link between the food chain and food web. Imagine if the frog will be not there, then what will happen? All the plants could be eaten by these insects, right? So they are the part of the food chain and the food web that control the different numbers of the organisms. Human consumption. Frogs are consumed by the human for the different purposes. Let us see that. In some countries, the muscular legs of frogs are used as a food by men. So men are eating these frogs also, right? You can see here, this picture shows a lot of things. Part of human nutrition in many countries, not in all countries, but yes, many countries, they eat frog, right? Important roles in the culture around the world. Medicine, contributions to the human medicine. Many medicines are made from their skins, frog skin. Environment, sustaining healthy ecosystem. Every organism has its own importance to have a balance in the environment. And if any of the organism is eradicated or removed from that environment, you can see there will be a great effect on the food web or the food chain. Many organism will collapse, and you will see there is a reduced number of the organism in the environment. So every organism is important. Even the insects are important, right? Okay, science. Aiding understanding of the human physiology. That is why you are studying this chapter, this frog, because This, while studying the frog, we see that many of the organ that present in the frog is same as we see in the case of human, but many differences also. So 5 differences can we count out the differences between the man and human anatomy. Heart. Let us think about the heart. The human heart is 4-chambered, but the man 4-chambered, and the frog heart is 3-chambered, 2 auricle, 1 ventricle. Hmm? Second thing, cloacal aperture. Cloacal aperture. The cloacal aperture is present in the case of frog, but anus in the case of human. And we are having the different removal of the undigested waste material from the anus, nitrogenous waste material. We are having the different removal point, but in the case of frog, both are removed from the same. Even for the egg and sperms comes out from this cloacal, right? So these things are very, very different in the case of human and frog. Anything we notice in the external morphology? Hmm? 4 limbs. 4 limbs. 4 limbs having 4 fingers in the case of frog, but in the case of human, 5 fingers, right? Any other thing that we see change? Bidder's canal. Bidder's canals is not found in the case of uh, human, but this is present in the case of uh, frog, right? So these are the different things that we see, though the anatomy of man and frog are very, very similar, but some points are different. Some things are different. Okay, the last we see indicating toxin and environmental changes. Okay, so they are working as an indicator also. Some frogs are very, very toxic, right? Prey upon the species that impact crop and spread diseases. So there are many insects, they spread the diseases and also have a great impact on our crop every year. They reduce the economy in that way also, because they reduce the yield of the crop, and yield of the crop is directly related to the economy of our country, right? So pest control, they are working as a pest control. So in that way, frogs are very, very important. Now summary, the frog's nervous system consists of a brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. The brain has a distinct region for the sensory processing and the motor control. Sense organ include well-developed eyes with the color vision, tympanic membrane for hearing, lateral lines for detecting water environments, chemical receptors for the smell and taste, and touch receptors for the skin, on the skin. Reproductively, frogs are oviparous, and external fertilization we see in the case of frog. And males possesses testes and females have ovaries. During breeding season, males attract females through the croaking, that is, producing sound by the vocal cord, and fertilization occur as eggs are laid in water. Once the eggs are laid in water, the male produces sperms on it or releases sperms on it, and fertilization occur in water only. Now some NCERT based questions. So first question is here, explain the process of external fertilization in frog. So this was our question. Let us see the answer. External fertilization in frog involve the female frog laying eggs in water. First point, numerous eggs are released in water in a jelly-like substance that is called spawn. And the male frog simultaneously releasing sperm into the water to fertilize egg outside the female body. So external fertilization is there. Second, why do the female frog lay a large number of eggs? This was our question. Let us see the answer. Female frogs lay a large number of eggs to increase the chances of fertilization and survival. In this way, there is an increase of chances for the fertilization and survival. External fertilization makes the egg vulnerable to predators and environmental factors. So, there are many predators that can harm these eggs. They can eat those eggs. So they release large number of eggs. Next question. How do male and female frog differ anatomically? Let us see the answer. Male and female exhibit several distinct anatomical differences. Size. Females are typically larger and the male's frog, most of the frog species. Okay, females are larger and male are smaller. Forearms, male are having the thicker forearms, more muscular forearms, and they use for amplexus, that is the holding female during the mating time, right? They are having this copulatory pads, so that is also makes the difference. Nuptial pads, male develops rough dark patches on their thumbs called nuptial pads, which help grip females during the mating. Vocal sac, male possesses vocal sac that used to produce the mating calls, while female generally lack these vocal sacs. Tympanum. In many species, males have larger eardrums, that is the tympanum, compared to their eye size. Females have tympanum equal to or smaller than their eyes. So there is a comparison of size of the tympanum through their eyes. Internal anatomy. Females have larger ovaries for egg production and males have smaller compact testes. You can see the size of the testes is small, but the ovaries are quite larger. Females have oviduct for egg transport, but males have vocal cord for, males are having that Bedard's canal, right? These differences primarily relate the reproductive function and mating behaviors. Keynotes. Frog brain can control the complex behavior despite being relatively simple. It is very simple, but it can relate or work for the complex behavior of the frog. And frog have well-developed optic lobes in the midbrain. Frog spinal cord is shorter than their vertebral canal. And frog males often have vocal sacs for calling. Frog males have nuptial pads during the breeding season. This nuptial pad is same, the copulatory pad. And frog males lack external genitalia. They are not having any external genitalia. Both sexes have fat bodies attached to their gonads. That is the fat bodies attached to the testes and ovaries, or you can say at the surface of the kidney. Some interesting question that you are going to solve. How does the amplexus aid in successful fertilization in frogs? Explain how frog use its sense organ like skin, eyes, ears, and tongue to interact with its environment. Next question, explain the development of the frog from the egg stage to the tadpole stage and then to the adult frog. So this is all about today's session. Thank you very much.